Hi guys, there is a hype all around that Kafka needs to be implemented. Okay, so wherever I'm checking any job requirements, there Kafka is there as a must. Okay, with microservice, Kafka is plus point. But should we implement Kafka at all stages? No. There are certain do's and don'ts, so those things needs to be understood. The first, let's understand do's. First of all, wherever there is like multiple billions of customers that are watching live streaming at same time, in that places Kafka is required, because handling those many data and storing in database is not practical and it's not possible also. Okay, and there will be a lot of latency. So for resolution of that issue, there is a Kafka that will provide the platform to have high resolution streaming, so that billions of customers or users can see. Similar you can see with Hotstar. Second is log aggregation. Whenever we have to aggregate all the logs in the form of events, so those log aggregation, for that Kafka is required. Third is event sourcing. So whenever there is a source of events which has been transferred from the publisher, then in that scenarios Kafka is used. Then for messaging, when we have to pass on tons of messages to store at one place, so that the consumers from other side can take that message and read it, and that process is happening concurrently with millions of customers are sending messages. For that sake, Kafka is required. Then batch data processing. Whenever we have to process data in batches, like if there are like billions of data are present and we have to process all of them in a batch of, let's suppose, 1 lakh batch, in that scenario Kafka is required to process all those data. Now we have understood do's. Then what are don'ts for Kafka? First type is when there is some simple request response communication is there, like there are two microservices and there is a request being sent and we are getting the response. So in that scenario, just for simple request response cycle, we should not make use of Kafka, because it will increase the overhead burden. Okay. Then second is for small scale project. If it is a small project where there is not much microservices involved, there is not much scalability, so in those kind of scenarios Kafka is not required to be implemented. Okay. Then high latency tolerance, like if your microservice is capable enough to tolerate high latency, like 3 second, 4 second is fine, then in those scenarios Kafka is not required to be implemented. Otherwise it will increase the burden of your microservice, because it's not required, because Kafka is required to be implemented where there is very low latency, like 100-200 milliseconds. And last scenario is whenever we have to implement only monolithic application, where there is one service is there to cater multiple customers and there are multiple databases linked with that particular monolithic application only, then Kafka is not required to be implemented. I hope you got the clarity on this. So see you in the next video. Bye.